Is anyone here? What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.
That's right, you're listening to Supernatural Confessions. I am your solo host today, the Prince of Paranormal, Eugene Tay, because the immortal Jonathan Lim is away at work. He can't make it, but we did not want to disappoint you, and we don't want to disappoint ourselves as well, because we enjoy Friday Night Live so much. We actually met up last night to pre-record the confessions to you, and we dissected it. So all that is going to be played tonight. So it's going to be semi-live and semi-pre-recorded, but I will be here with you guys in the chat room, addressing questions and answering you without distractions today. So you have my full 100% attention on the chat group. And thank you so much, Gabby. Straight up, these are 10th supers on our live stream. Been waiting to buy you guys coffee. Great to get the notification. Time to align my sanity. Thank you so much, Gabby. And what Gabby has done is to click that little super sign. So if on your chat function on the right side of it, you see a dollar sign there. So that's how you could click on it, put in some money and type whatever you want to type. And I will get to see it today, and so will everybody else. And all your donations will go to a very long way to keep this show going, because we love doing this show. And YouTube really doesn't pay much from ad sales, ads at all. All right, so your supers really count and will go a long way. And I do owe you guys a song today. I know some of you are asking for 今晚不 what? 等着你回来. Who said? I don't know my Chinese. My Chinese okay? No, not bad. Okay, so I've got a song. It's a bit of an 80s song, so most of you guys would probably get it. Since I'm solo today, I'm going to play my guitar. I was thinking of a song about being alone and having no one around. And so I think this is a very suitable song for us. Children behave. That's what they say when we're together. Watch how you play. They don't understand, and so we're running just as fast as we can, holding on to one another's hand, trying to get away into the night. And then you put your arms around me as we tumble to the ground, and then you say, I think we're alone now. There doesn't seem to be John around. I think we're alone now. The beating of our hearts is the only sound. Own self shock scenery lah. Play to own self sing only. Oh boy. So today's theme is about 7th month Hungry Ghost Festival. And each year we do get a fair amount of Hungry Ghost Festival stories. But I think you would enjoy today's curated stories that I've picked for you. I was very disturbed after reading these stories. Now, every time we do this, we do ask audience to come in and give us their live confessions. So today, without exception, I received a live confession from Ima before the show even started. But before we get the show on the road, let me thank this very special group of people. So important that pretty much these names really keep me going throughout the last 1 year. I've been doing Supernatural Confessions professionally for 1 year, and initially, when I decided to make the switch to doing that full time, I didn't know if I was going to survive or how tough life was going to be. And life, yes, it's still tough, but you know what? No regrets whatsoever. But to help make life a little bit easier, these are the very important people, our Patreons. our Supernatural Confessions Patreon. If you want to be a patron as well, that's patreon.com/Supernatural Confessions. I've been posting up stuff quite regularly these days, and more to come. Now, for sentient entities, we have Elaine Chua, Tengku Alsatian, Emco Grim, ZP Matt, Queen Lai, Lim Tek Chuan, Elvin Sensei, VL, Casey Chan, Alexa O, Janice Ang, Jacqueline and Yong Kwan Yu, Han J, Jerwin, Dato Easy, Starving Jack, Hot Water Bottle, Sharon Ng, Eric, Linzes, Juan, Edwin Lee, Hanifia, Hanifia, Hanafia also have a confession for us, akan datang. Michael Cool, new name. Safwan, moving up from spirit to sentient. And a new name here tonight, SD Lin. Wandering Spirit, we have Joel Go, Deborah Confield, Chia King To, Linda Hayden, Eliex, Jess Neo, Jerry Fish, Bibi Teo, Te Hakwi, 2 Cents, Alvin Lim, Kenny Polaris, Jayanti, Saritzu, TTB, Jujube Jume, ZP, Davindes, Gary Fu, Isaac Lam, Martin Felony, Don Xie, Ed A, Yao Xiu, J, Karina, Yani, Guyver Cheng, Shi Kai Chong, T. Amelia, Serin Tan, Sham Sanda Manon, Jin, Kevin C, Yumi, W. Kiet, and new names, Snoopy 8 and DN. The fact that names doesn't change here tells me a lot about your faith in me. Thank you so much. Restless Souls, Su Chieto, Grace Chai, Candy Chia, Ron K, Jack Ong, Nicholas Pua, Burke, Rachel Y, Lechmi, Julian Teo, David Glenivitz, Kabilan, Koshka, Derek Lim, Kant, Stella Chant, Shirin, and new name this week, Gabriel Kants. Thank you so much for being my patron. Now, tonight, 7-month ghost story. I think you guys who are fans of Supernatural Confessions kind of know how this was going to be. 7 months, we all know what not to do. And in case you're new to 7 months or new to this channel and you're wondering, what's all this burning about? That's because August is the lunar 7 month, is where we celebrate our Hungry Ghost Festival. To the Chinese, we believe that the gates of hell open, and that's where all the spirits come out. So when you see people burning downstairs, and they don't really burn throughout the whole month, they burn on the first, the mid, and the very last. And you see fruits there. Can you touch it? Can you not touch it? That's have always been the questions that I get. My sense is, yes, you can, with the right intent. And don't take it before the candle burns out. Wait for the candle to burn out, then take it. It's all yours. Okay. Also, Alsatian Adrian, thank you very much. Coffee liquor for you. I think that's right. Okay, I'm going to the comment section and see what you guys got for me. Who's first today? Okay, I think it might be Dex. Say message is gone. So Alsatian Aiden Chua, Manic Gaming, Zone Nova, Dooley 31, Khan Thomas, Serin Tan, TTB. Someone was sick, I saw just now. Hello Nora as well. Love from UK, Chris Pilgrim. Or if you are from anywhere in the world, let us know where you are. If you are from Singapore, let us know which neighborhood you're in. And to my Green Verge, Tampines Green Verge people, if you're here, well, make some noise, either outside my door or on the group chat. Okay, we're going to start off with our very first confession. This one is by Ima. Ima was still a Singaporean, I suppose, but he's now living in the Maldives. He's putting his kid to bed, so he cannot join us live, but he will watch it later on. So this is Ima's confession to kickstart today's Friday Night Live. Back in 2008, I had a close group of friends that I would hang out with almost every day. We were in our early 20s and single, just starting to work. We didn't have a care in the world. We were and are still huge fans of classic heavy metal, and some of our biggest influences come from Black Sabbath. As some of you guys may know, Geezer Butler, the bassist, was influenced by horror themes, which led to them creating heavy metal. We were deep into the occult, and I do have some crazy stories to share. Here's one of such stories. All of us used to live in or around the Kallang Baru area, home to some infamous cases. I myself live in Upper Boon Keng, in one of the 2-point blocks with the many small temples around it. Anyway, one Friday night, we were toning For the young folks who don't know what tawning is, staying overnight at one of the playgrounds in Kalang Baru. If I remember correctly, it was one near the Pondok, near the 7-Eleven, or behind the 7-Eleven. We were writing some silly heavy metal songs and having a pretty chill night. I dozed off around 11 or 12 midnight. I was suddenly shaken awake by my buddy. He said, Hey, look over there," pointing to one of the blue benches. "That's not a boy," he continued. In my sleep adult state, I didn't realize what he was talking about. Then I suddenly saw the rest of the guys perking up and looking in the same direction. There was a skinny boy around 11 or 12 years old, clad in a white shirt and blue shorts. Apart from the fact that one so young shouldn't be out so late, he didn't look abnormal. It was what he was doing that was freaky. He was burning paper and kind of juggling them, throwing the flaming pieces of paper up and catching them in his bare hands. He was also gleefully dancing and jumping around, once even doing a cartwheel. When he saw us looking at him, he danced his way over to us, looked at us smiling and asked, "Do you want to see ghosts?" That was enough to freak out 5 grown men. We had had enough. We politely told him, "No thank you," and left the playground immediately. On the way out there, we saw that the pieces of paper the boy was juggling were actually hell notes. We walked briskly over to the Pondok and sat down to have a smoke. This was far enough away from the playground for us to feel comfortable. There were also a lot of people around, as if it was a busy weekday morning. We looked at the time, and it was 4 a.m. It seemed strange that there were so many people busily going about their business at 4 a.m. We started to get creeped out again when we realized that most of them were wearing shades of red. I know it seems far-fetched, but when we checked the date, it was the first day of the 7th month. This really made my hair stand. We escaped from the Pondok and went to hang out at the 7-Eleven till 6 a.m. and went home at the first light peak. Incidentally, by the time we left, there were less and less people in red and more people that were donned in, other colors. I don't know the significance of the people in red, but it could have been just a coincidence. But the boy, the playground, that was a weird one, and I still remember his pale face smiling at us. Wow. Huh. What do you think about that story, guys? Let me know in the comment section. What's it about wearing red or not wearing red for Hungry Ghost Festival? Thank you to Serene Tan as well. Coffee for you, Eugene. Thank you very much. Looks cute tonight. Feeling coma. No, it's my hair. My hair is a bit... My hair is kind of all over the place tonight. And yes, my aircon is on full blast. So yeah, it gets a bit chilly. Sean Chen as well. Go Eugene. Go Eugene. Thank you so much, Sean. Thanks, buddy. That's your first super as well. Welcome to the family. Why don't go home? Terry Fu asked. Because, this 20-year-old heavy metal, rocker type, going home is not cool. Must hang out overnight. Which was what I used to do. I think most of us, before social media, before smartphone, what were we doing? There's nothing much, right? At home, read books, fight with parents, get nagged at, or we go out. And when we go out, we stay out whole night, we cycle to places, and that's why movies like Stranger Things is so, relates to us, resonates with us, because we can imagine the times when we were young, cycling around the neighborhood at night, going under the bridge, staying overnight, playing guitar by the void deck, and just not going home. And those were the days before smartphone and internet. Now, even people hanging around the void deck is on their phone just typing along. Is this real or storytelling? Maybe stay. All the stories that we narrate are given to us by people, and I like to believe that they are real. They have no reason to lie, bullshit, or gain anything out of giving me this story, because sometimes they don't even tell their names. The they don't earn a cent out of it, but they spend the time to type it out. Or it's clearly from what Ima has done, he typed out the whole thing for me. That took time to type. So I think there's a lot of effort to write a story, and I would imagine that it comes from inside, from experience. It really makes no sense to give me a fabricated story, because what do you get out of it, right? All right, so let's get on with the show today. I'm going to disappear from this screen and bring John and myself back up. Remember, this is pre-recorded, okay? So I know some people might come in late and they go like, "Yo, is this live?" No, it's not live. Please help me tell them. But anyway, I'll be on the live chat with you guys as well. Now, let us begin with Friday Night Live, 16 August. Today's theme is on 7-month ghost story. Enjoy. Oh.
Boo. Okay.
What happened to you, John?
Must be the 7th month, or the spirits are piling up on me and
Aiyo.
taking their toll.
Kesian, sniffling away today.
Sad. Nah lah. But still happy to be here.
We are on 7-month story today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching us, please
Ooh.
understand this is not live. It's pre-recorded.
This is dead.
It's pre-recorded on a Thursday night right now at 12:38 a.m.
Yikes.
I'm also
I don't
sniffling.
know.
Oh my goodness.
So sad. Okay, but no. We're here because we want to do this for you guys. Okay,
Yeah.
so you missed us last week, right? I hope you better have missed us. Well, we missed you too. We missed you too. So we desperately wanted to do a little episode. And 7th month, of course, cannot let it go past without doing some shock stories, right? So here we are.
I'm beginning to feel that Singapore is extremely haunted. Like, I know it's haunted.
Now that you are the Minister of Supernatural Affairs, you are beginning to feel it.
Yeah, we grew up reading the books, we grew up hearing the stories, and we kind of know every school, every camp, every chalet is haunted.
Yeah.
But I think having done Supernatural Confessions for coming to 10 years now, it seems to me that the haunting is not going to go away anytime soon. I've always said this, right? You, even when we first started, that I think there's a finite number of stories, and one day the stories will end, and that's when we walk off into the sunset. But it hasn't been that way at all.
No. There's no way it's gonna. I think it's a fundamental aspect of living in Singapore, right? Living in Southeast Asia, right? Yeah, but especially Singapore, right? So it's not gonna change. It's something that I'm waiting for them to inaugurate it into the National Day Parade. There one float of just you know?
Yeah.
If you can see anyone, okay, you understand. If not, it's just an empty float.
So next year, 60th anniversary, you have your PA, you have your NTUC, your OSIM, then you have one of our float. There's nobody there.
Or you can have a contingent. It's Japanese soldiers marching, but not everyone can see. Right, introducing the headless Japanese soldiers.
Well, I mean, damn good budget, man. We just start introducing it, but no one can see what's going on in front.
Yeah, I mean, it's really part of home, right? That's why this year's National Day song is perfectly SC, right? We're not alone.
Not alone. Hey, John, you gotta go and ask Ben Keng lah. He's got to make an appearance. I'm sure he has a ghost story or two.
Maybe where all the fuss dies down, maybe can. Maybe that's what inspired the song, actually.
No one
Middle of the
comes
night,
out with
you
a
are
line like "You're not alone" if they have not seen a ghost.
Wow, but good. I mean, we've done a whole half a year of all sorts of weird themes. Well, not say weird, okay, but quite scattered themes, right? The army, the police, the navy, HDB, and then now it's really just anywhere, everywhere, as long as it's 7 months, which is quite short.
You want the weird one? You gotta wait for our very final episode of the whole season. That's where we keep all the WTFs.
Yes.
If you have been with us for some time, if you have seen Ghost Mortem as well,
Oh, yes.
the final episode is the one where it blows your mind. It challenges your understanding of the hantu. I remember last year's MVP was the Lehe Panjang.
Yes. Oh my God. If you have not heard the Lehe Panjang one, please go and hunt it out. Okay. It was end of the year. End of the year was so shook. It was the kind of hantu that you thought like dinosaurs, okay, no longer existed, but they're still here, hiding somewhere in the corners of Singapore.
And I think the other one was the guy who met this creature while fishing. The face is on the body. Remember that one?
Yes, correct. The face was on the torso. Wow, shocks, yeah.
So you think
It's-
Singapore
it's-
only got Pontianak? No.
yokai level, okay, yokai level, okay. So yeah, quite shocked, really quite shocked. Yeah,
So I've been shoring up all these WTF stories.
nice.
I'm just waiting for the final season. Not that I want the show to end, but because that's when I get to present all this to you guys.
And I don't know what any of them are. Okay, so I will be totally stunned,
Ra-
like all of you.
Last time Ghost Mortem, you're the one who knows all the story beforehand, and I'm the one who get to pick and choose. Look at how the tables have turned, John.
Petty revenge. Ha.
No, it's a good kind of revenge. Not a petty, it's a good kind of revenge.
But revenge is also the theme of this evening's stories, right? So we're gonna work towards the last story is quite short, and it's all about revenge. But where shall we begin?
Okay. I think we shall begin with this one is kind of my favorite as well. Because it's short, it's punchy, and it left me after reading this confession being quite disturbed. Actually, today's story all very disturbing, but this one
Sweet.
is so short and sweet that it hits a spot.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Our first confession for tonight, this one is by Noise Joyce.
Noise choice.
Yes, and here we go. Short story, this one. We live in a maisonette in Pasir Ris facing Loyang Secondary School. It was during the 7th lunar month Hungry Ghost Festival, and I was upstairs at home in my bedroom when I heard my mother call out to me down from the kitchen. Ajina, come down. I shouted back, what you want, Ma? Her reply was the same as before. Ajina, come down. I was wondering what was the secrecy and the urgency about. When I went down to the kitchen, I realized there was no one else at home. My parents had gone to visit a relative, and I was the only one at home at that time. So who the fuck had called me from downstairs? It was definitely my mother's voice, in the same way she speaks to me. Now, the voice was coming from my bedroom. Ajina, come upstairs. I dashed out of the house stat. I didn't have my phone with me. The main door wasn't locked. The gates were wide open. I just sat at the void deck for almost 2 hours plus until I see my parents pulled out in the car park. I told my parents what had happened. And when we went back home to check, there was nothing peculiar about the house. Of course, parents being parents, they said it was my imagination. Or it's probably the neighbors talking blah blah blah. Maybe this story is not as scary to you all, but this incident certainly fucked me up even till now. I don't dare stay anywhere alone by myself. And Eugene, it's not my neighbor's voice. And I wasn't imagining it. I'm sure.
Wow, you're right. Short, punchy. Wow, shock, very shock.
I'm so glad I'm not living in a maisonette or a two-story house.
Yeah, oh my god. Okay. I have to admit that a friend of mine also had a similar experience, right? And he lived in one of those landed properties, 3 stories. So he was on the 3rd floor, right? But it wasn't calling him to come down. It was just calling his name repeatedly, right? And the reason why it creeped him out was because it was using the full name, which no one in his family uses.
It's like when your grandmother trying to scold you.
Yeah, but get this. It was still mimicking a family member's voice. And so according to him, he just stayed in the room, locked, and didn't refuse to move, refuse to come out until he heard like real voices of family when they got home. Okay, it also happened when he was alone at home.
So it's not. Is that only happened one time or multiple times?
Only once. So it seems to me, hearing this story and then connecting it to my friend's story, that this is a serial haunting, right? That there is a pattern, right? There's maybe there are many of these spirits, right? These particular spirits whose MO is to wait until you are alone at home,
Scare the hell out of you.
yeah, and then they have some doppelganger ability, right? They can mimic, right? But perhaps they don't know everything, right? So they called my friend by the wrong name. Otherwise, it would have worked, But in this case, quite successful, right? And I don't know what they want with you when you get out, That one I don't know. Okay, so
But see, looking at this story, just this story alone,
yeah,
Ajin actually went down.
That's true. And then the ghost went right upstairs again.
Yeah.
So is it just trying to prank him? Is it just mischievous? Which I think takes the edge off a little bit. Because it's creepy until, okay, it's just a joke. But
I hear you, and also we have been talking about ghost stories, and I myself have seen some experiences. But if it happened to me,
no.
cheeky ghost or not, at that point of time, I think my blood will turn cold. No, I might also just. I mean, I talk about the heroic act and running to the ghost with my camera. But when you're home alone and you're caught off guard, I might just run out as well. But your friend was not so lucky because he was captive audience in the room.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I don't know, right? Okay. Oh, I forgot another detail about my friend's one. It was coming up the stairs.
Fuck
as
me.
it was calling.
Oh, shit.
That's why he didn't dare to get out. Because he knew it was approaching.
Like, you think the ghost cannot come through your door?
I don't know lah, right? You will hang on to whatever scrap of hope you can find, right? But I'm thinking, okay, yes, absolutely true that it would terrify me, right? But if somehow in the corner of my mind I knew that MSA has already theorized that this might be just a prankster ghost and there's no intention to do you harm, I would cling to that hope.
Yes. That sliver of hope that it's not a malicious, doesn't want to do anything to me but prank me.
Yeah, play with me, fine. Just play along. Run up and down the stairs a few times. I would not try to jump out a window to save my life. I would not resort to desperate escape methods. I'll just go, okay, fine, I think I know what kind of loop I'm trapped in. I don't know, okay, but then again, if it happens to you, please, okay.
You know why? Because people like this never hear my four-step program to dealing with hantu. I talked about that before in I think the early 2020s, but it's been a while. So ladies and gentlemen, listen up. The next time it happens to you, follow my 4-step program, okay?
Okay, come, 4 steps.
Step 1, you ignore. Okay? But in this case, she totally forgot. But she knew her parents were out. But if that's the case, when you're in your house alone, you know you're alone, and someone calls for you, ignore.
Okay.
Step
2.
Second, maybe like your friend, the footsteps coming closer and closer. This one is getting too close for comfort.
Targeting you.
You be firm, but polite and says, please don't disturb me, right? Excuse me, I don't want to hurt you, and I don't want you to hurt me. Please leave me alone.
Okay, firm but polite. Okay.
Then you hear a knock on your door, which means the hantu is not giving up.
Yep.
You turn to the door, don't disturb me. Then you, whatever expletives can shoot, you shoot.
Okay. Then
if the door knocks start to and open out you. Sorry. And according to my Filipino friends, to them, they said one of the best ways in their folklore to chase away a spirit is to pull down your pants for men and wave your ding dong at the ghost.
Actually, this is an old Malay custom as well. In the early Malay kampong days, that was also a useful threat against some of the hantu, right? To reveal your private parts. I don't know why.
Now I know why my house is safe. Because I walk around
That's
naked.
number 5. That's number 5.
That's number 5. Yeah. So now you know.
Okay, I think that MSA needs to print these on a little card and then slot it into every door. Okay, every door.
Like the Total Defense Day. Spiritual defense is part of it.
I think this needs to be a magnet that we give everyone so they stick on their fridge. Okay.
And my phone number there, hotline.
Yeah. Next to the plumber and the aircon repair. MSA again. Hantu repair. Okay? Wow. Come on, we have to do our part for National Day.
Yeah. Okay? I think if Ajin actually shouted at the spirit, my tawa, I think the spirit will go away. I got a feeling this is the kind of spirit that will actually flee when you are aggressive or you show aggression.
Yeah, I think it's just sort of pesky and sort of looking for opportunity to feel bigger, right? By enjoying your fear. Right? You must imagine the hantu is like giggling one corner while he's making you panic, right? Yeah, totally.
It's like I what you always say, right, John? When we talk about hauntings, you're like, are we dealing with one ghost or two ghosts or multiple ghosts. I got a feeling this is a bunch of ghosts like coming out together like, okay, you say, Achina. You know,
You go upstairs. Go upstairs.
now your turn, you shout.
And then somewhere in the Hantu world, they are posting this on TikTok. Human being pranked. So not bad, lah. You are going viral on the other side. They are in hell for 11 months again, except for Hungry Ghost Month. I think they need something to amuse themselves. So you are gonna be a sensation.
Oh man.
Noise choice.
Oh, noise choice. He ran out the house, never take phone. Oh my goodness. I mean, yeah, I assume the phone will be upstairs in the room. You're not going to go up now, right, and pick up the phone.
Or did you check your phone after? Did they leave you messages?
No. She said nothing peculiar at all. And parents being parents, I can imagine, right? You're scared shitless. You're waiting for them to come back. And then they go, Ayah, nonsense lah. Wow, I think you're bang, man.
But if this was a film, the final scene will be then the parents look at each other. They're back. That's the sequel. Okay. Oh dear. Okay. Quite shock.
Or when the parents come back and then they started crying and they go upstairs and not talk. And then you realize at the end of the movie, actually Joyce is dead. She doesn't realize it. She's living in a loop. That's why I got the choice.
Sure. Okay, that's more likely.
We all laughing at people's plight.
Yeah, okay. Just joking, Noise Joyce. I'm sure you're alive. But yeah, I think you were relatively safe. I mean, if this thing doesn't recur, right, then it's also not something that's plaguing you. I think it was just a passing fancy. They thought you were alone and you were a possible victim, right? But you were smart enough to get out of the house, so you didn't give them too much content for their website.
No,
and then they moved on.
I think, Joyce, you said that this incident has fucked you up, right? And I get it. But, I hope that you listen to Friday Night Live and listen to the way we dissect it. It makes you sit behind the screen now watching us chuckling and going, yeah, it's not so bad after hearing all this.
So we're happy to be your therapy. Just think of yourself as just a million viewer YouTube content on the other side.
You are the Hantu influencer on the other side.
Yeah. Wow, quite cute. Okay. Nice. Okay, tell us a little bit about the next story.
Oh, this one. Let me take a look. Oh, okay. So this one, we all know that in 7 months, there's a pantang this, pantang that. We
so many pantang.
Yeah. Some pantang, we feel, as the older we grow, we like, got logic or not? Where's the sense in that, right? We tend to question, let's be frank. We think of these old people's tales and we go like, yeah, is it still relevant? In this next confession, that pantang is called into question. John, would you do the honors?
Sure.
All right, over to you.
Hello, Eugene and John. I have a short confession to make. This incident happened to me during 7th month last year. One of the pantangs is not to come home late, especially past midnight, and not to wear red. Now, I consider myself a rational person, but with respect for the culture, so I don't mock such beliefs. But at the same time, I don't live my life fearing the superstitions. So my argument about wearing red is that if red attracts spirits to us, then half the people at the Padang are in danger of being haunted, considering our National Day coincides with the Hungry Ghost Festival. Doesn't make sense, right? So by that logic, I didn't really think much about wearing red during this time. I was coming home after a friend's birthday party on a Friday night, slightly tipsy but still clear of mind. The walkway back to my home was lined with offerings, candles, and incense. Some of my neighbors were still around there, burning offerings, so it's not as if the place was deserted or scary. I got into my lift and pressed the button to my level. The lift door started closing and then opened again. I held the door open button, thinking that someone might have pressed the button on the outside. I waited, but there was no one. I popped my head out to see. The lift lobby area was deserted. Then there was a sudden gust of cold wind, the type of coldness you get when you open the fridge and stick your head in. I moved back into the lift and I pressed the door close button. But again, the door closed halfway and opened again. This time it dawned on me. There's no ding sound. If someone had pressed the button, it would make a ding sound. The moment I realized that, it seemed like whatever it was that was in the lift with me had read my mind. And I literally heard a chuckle right beside my right ear. A low, throaty chuckle, unmistakable. I stood there, transfixed in fear, contemplating if I should run through the spirit and out of the lift or stay inside with it. But before I could decide, the lift door closed on me, and this time the lift started moving upwards. It was the longest fucking elevator ride. I moved to one corner and I prayed under my breath. Please don't disturb me. Please don't disturb me. Sorry. Please don't disturb me. When I got to my floor, I made a dash out of the lift and ran all the way back home. I got in and straight away went to the toilet to shower. I discovered that my right forearm had a large bruise forming up in real time as I was looking at it. I poked at it, but there was no pain. The bruise was quite large actually, about slightly smaller than a credit card with a more rounded edge. After showering, I brought my clothes directly from the toilet to the washing machine. I didn't want to put it in the laundry basket, which was in my bedroom. As I was loading up the washing machine, I saw that the shirt I had been wearing was bright red. The one I had bought and worn for Chinese New Year. You know, the bright red kind. I reckon that must be why the spirit was attracted to me. I was wearing red. After that incident, I have a better appreciation why they say not to wear red during the 7th month. Okay, I must say this confessor has got a fairly stable knowledge of the necessary things to do, right? The necessary precautions, right? To go and shower, to put your clothes straight into the machine, don't hang them, don't leave them hanging around. I think he just didn't take it all that seriously until something triggered it.
Long time fan as well.
Good. So I'm glad the education, the wisdom is latent in there. Okay, so you know what you need to do if it kena lah, right? But that's the thing, right? Lapsed, right? Not so alert on the average day and forgot, right? So let's talk a bit about this wearing red thing. Is it a pantang that you observe?
No.
Why? What's your reason for thinking that you can get away with it? Minister?
I understand the logic behind wearing red. But at the same time, I think just wearing the red itself is not the one and only requirement for the spirits to attract. So it will require a few other things, like maybe if you go to cemetery, then you don't want to wear red there, because if everyone else not wearing red and you're the only one wearing red,
you stand out.
But or perhaps if you walk past the 7-month prayer and then you get a bit too close, I think then it needs to be in conjunction with other things that you do, not just the color red.
I mean, he made the same point himself, right? That National Day at the Padang, pretty much, I would say more than half are wearing red, right? So why doesn't the spirit will descend upon the whole of the Padang, right? Partly it's because yes, they are wearing red, but they're in crowds. Right?
A lot of young chi.
Yes, they're protected, right? Safety in numbers, right? But if on the way home from NDP, you go and pass by this place, pass by offerings, then you are targeted, right? Yeah. So red plus where you are, plus whether you're alone, plus your energy.
Correct, your energy at the point of time, your own is low. Targeted lah. And this is also another cheeky ghost.
Oh, I just thought of something.
What?
So the first time the door half closed, opened, right? Then second time it did it again, right? And then it closed, right? Maybe it was not playing. The ghost was holding the door for all the other ghosts to come.
Oh, there's more than one.
One whole gang come.
Oh, it's like him, excuse me.
So we managed to make Noise Joyce feel better, but we're making you feel worse.
Or maybe because our Singapore government knows and they believe in the spiritual side of things, but they cannot tell you National Day they're going to invite the ghost there as well. So they just make everyone wear red. In that way, all the ghosts will come and celebrate together with us.
I see. So it's National Day for like all of our Singaporeans from a long time ago.
Right. That's what they already say, right? This is the day to celebrate our forefathers, right? That's why. That's what they meant. All our forefathers are there.
That's the major conspiracy.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. Which is why also they wanted to do the National Day on the floating platform, right? Because it's on water. It's a lot more yin, you see. So, right.
Even the Padang also is very in, right? It's near the
That's true.
water
Very
and
true.
everything.
Right next to the Esplanade. Yeah.
If you know the history of the Padang, got people die there and all. The Japanese march there. So it's a lot of historical power energy there.
See, we're getting closer and closer to our next year NDP MSA contingent already, yeah? Okay.
If Taman calls me tomorrow, I'll let you know, okay?
Wow, but this, it is a creepy experience. I've come across several stories where people are dealing with the hantu in a confined space, right? In the lift, right? And it is terrifying. And I do ask myself the same question he asked, which is, do I risk it and run out, or fending it, or bumping into it, or whatever, or do I stay in here and hope for the best, right? I think I would have gotten up. I think as soon as that first door did not close, I would have just never mind. Next lift.
Let you take. If you remember Augustus from Featured Confession, he's the hotel manager and he talks about haunted hotel. He walked into the lift and then he felt sudden crowd. Yeah, then he said, "Never mind, you all can take."
Yeah, and I do think there is a possibility that the spirits like lifts. I don't know why they like lifts. I don't know if it's whether they're actually going somewhere upstairs or whether they just like being in the lift. Right? Because it is a sort of if you consider the spaces around a HDB flat, right? A lift is kind of like a toilet in a traditional home. It's a place where people pass by temporarily. No one lives there, right? So if I'm a spirit that isn't strong enough to go into anyone's home, right? Because it's lived in, you love the place, you have affection for it, then the closest I can get is your lift floor. Right, I can sit in there and like soak up all these bits of energy that you leave behind, and then if I find someone weak enough, follow, right?
Yeah, like if you've been to our walk with Hantu Changi, and there's one particular stop that John shares his, the theory of why places like that is haunted. If you don't know, just come for the walk. We'll tell you about that. And also the other thing is the lift is constantly dark. There's not much direct sunlight, so it's
That's
perfect cocktail for spirits to hang out.
Yeah, you're right. Darker than all the corridors.
And the entire lift shaft. Hello.
Yeah.
He means how many spirits are there? That's their home,
Oh gosh. So a lift is basically the hunting ground, lah.
Yeah. And
they're all just waiting there.
When I did the Tanglin Hall investigation, the lift shaft, that's where the EMF spike. True enough, it's we could say is the electronic machinery.
Yeah.
And there's the theory that because of this machinery, it creates EMF, and that's the kind of environment that attracts spirit as well. So your lift shaft, you think, tired lah, I don't want to climb upstairs, I'll take the lift. Every day you're going through thousands of spirits. So if you live on the highest floor,
okay, then I think better not take lift alone. Better not. Bring a friend. Because they brought a friend.
But good job to Brian, who knows how to not bring his clothes into the room. He goes straight to the shower. So for those who do not understand what we mean by Brian understands the pantangness of it all. In our folklore in Asia, ghosts can follow you back. So that's why we always say wash your feet. But if you're unable to wash your feet outside because we don't always have a tap or a pail ready for us, go home, especially 7 months, don't walk around the house, don't use your dirty clothes, sit down anywhere, wash, shower, clean everything.
Yeah.
Wash
straight
clothes.
to the laundry. Yeah. A lot of people, I think, forget this final step. So they shower, then they bring the clothes into their bedroom, put in the laundry basket, and then you don't know, right, whether they were lingering on you or whether they're lingering on your clothes, right? So clothes as well. No need to go and incinerate lah. Okay, just washing machine will do. Wow, this month is a tricky month. Okay, so everyone, please beware. Please beware.
Poor Brian. And I laughed at my ghost some more. Ghost.
Yeah, I know the chuckle is amazing. Especially like the moment it finally clicked on him, then the ghost like
because we always say ghost reads your mind, psychic, right? They sense your fear. So the minute
Yep.
you are not afraid, you don't know, then you the sudden realization, it causes the fear.
Yeah.
Straight away they know.
So, Brian, you are also YouTube content in the other world, together with Noise Joyce. Okay.
It's like once a year, 1 month in the year, 7 months, all the ghosts come out and they with their, they prank people, they bring up the content to.
Yeah, all the Hantu influencers coming out, all planning tricks on you guys. Okay? So please don't fall for it. Okay, don't fall for it.
Yeah.
Yikes.
At least Brian did step number 2.
Mm,
He, please don't disturb me. Please don't disturb me.
true.
Sorry. Please don't disturb me.
Yeah.
Not
that
bad.
was wise. That was wise.
So Brian, the next time you're stuck in the lift, what you need to do is pull down your pants.
Yeah, that's how a lot of Crime Watch episodes begin.
Can you imagine? He put on his pants, he shake it around and or like 4th floor, ting, the door open, then one auntie down there. Hey! Heart attack, no auntie.
It's okay, little boy. Uncle will protect you from the ghosts. Oh no. Okay. Crime Watch. Okay. Okay.
Okay, what's next? Okay, we got one more. I'll do this reading.
Okay. Shall I ask for some context or?
What's this one? Pinky Promise.
Got
You
context,
can ask for context.
Okay. I'll. Okay, next story. Okay, tell us something about this person.
Okay, Dalton Apple Pies, he actually posted this on Reddit.
Oh, okay.
I think it was about 5 years ago, and it's one of those memorable stories that I think made its round. So I wanted to share with you guys because, again, it's one of those 7-month stories that is not usual, not common, and it leaves behind a very disturbing afterthought.
Yikes. Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
This happened a while ago to a classmate of mine. We were close by virtue of the fact that we lived in the same neighborhood and we took the bus home together. He was amusingly brash and opinionated and was especially vocal against superstitious nonsense. His words. I remember walking home with him as we passed one of those makeshift altar with fruits, paper and joss sticks. My friend started ranting about how unclean and ridiculous it was. Frankly, he had a point, for this particular offering was especially messy. Against my objections, my friend started throwing the messy offerings into the nearby trash bin. He must have caught a sharp edge of a joss stick or something, for he suffered a cut on his left pinky. We thought nothing of it. Strangely, as the days went by, his fingers didn't heal. There were always reasons, of course. It got affected because he took it too lightly and the wound reopened a few times because of silly accidents during PE, etc. Okay. Eventually, it got so bad that I could smell it through the bandage. Apparently, the infection festered into a fever and he was on MC for quite a while. For those days, I took the bus home without his company. When he returned, he was noticeably thinner with dark bags around his eyes. He was also missing the tip of his infected pinky. He seemed relatively unperturbed about it, and I figured it was amputated for medical reason, so I didn't dwell on it and we spoke about other things. However, the creepy thing that I will always remember is the fact that he stopped by the site of the altar on our way home that day. He placed a small bundle wrapped in white cloth at the site. Clearly, this was so out of character that I would have teased him about it, if not for the fact that he had this strange look on his face. I never found out conclusively what was in the bundle that he placed as an offering. But, though we have grown apart after graduating from our school, we still catch up once in a while. Every time we meet, I would steal a glance or two at his pinky stump. And walao, I really do think it's getting shorter and shorter with each passing year.
Wow. Okay, this one feels like a Twilight Zone episode. Okay, the bit with the pinky getting shorter and shorter. It's like he's made some infernal deal with something.
Every year he got to give back offering of his little pinky.
1 cm a year. Like, wow. What happens when the pinky is gone?
You're dead, lor. He claimed the rest of you, ah.
Oh, okay. I thought slowly just carry on
Well,
until
yeah,
the whole body, the
that-
whole person disappear.
That would be a Twilight Zone episode, lah. You know, where you got to amputate your hand, your arm, the next thing you come back again. You know.
Yikes. Wow. Okay. I mean, it's a straightforward question. Straightforward narrative. But we understand exactly what happened, right? You know, he clearly did something extremely disrespectful, right? Extremely rude, right? And then after that, had to pay for it, lah. You know, and what makes it mysterious is the fact that, you know, it's coming from an observer's point of view, right? So there are mysteries here, right? We don't know who he went to get help, right? What that bundle was. I'm so curious about the bundle, right? You know, I've never heard of a white bundle as something. So it's more than usual. Most people are told just to make offerings, right? More of the same offerings to appease them. This sounds a little special, right? A little out of the ordinary, right? You know, and what was he told that would change the attitude of such a brash and opinionated person to become so scaredy cat, right? You know, and so respectful suddenly, you know, and he didn't share it. You know, why didn't he tell his friend? I mean, given that the friend was there when he did the wrong thing, right? Why not then share with him whatever, you know, stress you're feeling about? You know, having to apologize, whatever. You know, if you're cynical about it, you're unsure about it, bring it up, right? Was he told to keep it quiet, not explain to anyone, maybe?
I think partially shame, partially fear, partially.
But he did it. But then he did it when the friend was there again. He could have just
he did
taken the
offering-
bus.
yeah.
He could have taken the bus there alone. He you know, so he wasn't ashamed of the activity. You know, I feel, right? So I don't know. I'm. What do you think that the bundle was? What could it be in your head? Do you have
I don't know, man. In my head now, because of the way it's said, right?
a?
I feel it's a finger. Right, right. He has to amputate off and then give back. You know, very Yakuza type, right? Like, sorry, I threw away all your offerings. I return you the finger.
Yikes. In that case, then I really want to know who was the spiritual master he visited, who brokered this deal.
Terrible negotiator, man.
I mean, okay lah. If you had to give up one part, I guess it's the easiest to let go of.
Pinky
If
lah.
it's a toe, you might lose some balance, right? It might affect your sense of balance, right? If it's a pinky, I don't know.
Okay lah. How do you pick your nose lah? You gotta use your other hand already.
Oh gosh, I don't know, man. But I mean, if I was the friend, I would certainly not keep quiet about it. You know, I've observed enough to know that something happened, something conclusively happened, and it was not a good thing. You know, I would bug him. I would bug him to death.
But you know why? Because most men, they don't ask questions like that. Right. I mean, how many girlfriends are annoyed with their boyfriends because when they go like, hey, so you met John today? Yeah, he had a breakup. So what happened? How did he feel? Who was it? No, I didn't ask anything. Huh? Why never ask? He never say ma. Case closed.
Okay. I mean, okay, admittedly, yes, okay, that's the attitude of most men, right? But to all men under SC, please be different. Okay, you have to ask questions. Okay, right? Don't come and give us a bro kind of confession full of caps. Now, I'm not saying this was full of caps, okay, but you know, it certainly would be a richer confession if you had pressed him. You know, maybe you're still catching up every now and then, right? So it's not too late.
You know, the bro kind of confession be, yeah, then I see then got one shadow run past. Then what happened? Then like that law.
I finished my beer, lor.
The end.
Okay, so this is this still ongoing? This is how old is this?
5 years.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I mean, if you're both still meeting up, please follow up. Okay,
Yeah.
in fact, ask him to call Eugene.
So you know, I named this story, right? I titled it as Pinky Promise. You know why? Because I think this man or the boy, through the donkey perhaps, had to be forced to make a promise never to do that again. And that's a, you know,
Oh,
the
I
symbolic
see.
pinky promise. So he has to give his pinky as a
a
symbolic
promise.
act that a promise is made.
Then the fact that it's getting shorter means he couldn't control himself and he has been offending again.
Or maybe
So
that's,
every time,
that's
every time 7 months, he freaks out over an altar and offering. He has to lose a bit more of his pinky.
you know what's worse? It'd be like you have thrown 25 pieces of the hell notes that you picked up from the ground. We need 25 slice from you
Yikes.
for the next 25 years, right? Pound for pound, right? Like that.
I see. Okay. Wow, that exchange rate is not worth it, yeah?
We want to know the dozen apple pies friend. Come up to us, please, and let us know directly what was it that you went through. Because you need to share this with us. We want to know.
Yeah. And this is a place where I think you can share it without fear of being ridiculed. You know, I mean, we seem jokey when we analyze these things, but that's partly because we are trying to treat them as things that actually happen, right? We don't want to sort of hype it up and oversell them, but at the same time, we never treat them lightly either. You know, they are things that happen to people, right? So we speak of them with humor, but with earnestness, right? And we are very curious to know. So if it will help you at all to share it, please do. Right, please do.
If you don't want to give us your real name, you want to be anonymous as well, that's fine. We will just call you Pinky.
Sigh. Wow. Okay. Quite shocked. But okay. So this is one of the things you must never do, which is show disrespect to the offerings. Right. It's the same as like going to someone's party and like, oh, look at all the gifts on the table, and then I fling your table. You know, I pee on your cake. You know, it's and if you consider the fact that they've waited a whole freaking year to come out here and receive these offerings, and these offerings are given with love. You know, these are literally cakes you buy for strangers. These are not even cakes you buy because, you know, it's your auntie, it's your whatever. No, these are cakes that people, out of their compassion, right, and out of their generosity, have bought for absolute strangers, the spirits that they do not know, right? So there's a pact here. You know, there's a pact of compassion. Right.
Literally, if you want, I mean, for dozen apple pies friend, you know, if you want to put it into a very logical perspective, let me paint this analogy for you. So you go to, let's say you go to some, you know, ghetto part of the world, you know, right? And they're homeless there. Maybe even some of them are violent, and a nice group of people come down, buy food for them, open up, then they're sitting there and eat. And then you go there and kick their food, take it and throw away. I don't think you're going to make out the ghetto alive. That's how it is.
Yeah. I mean, we must remember that the people receiving these offerings are hungry. Right? You know, our several spiritual masters have shared that they are desperate. You know, they are fighting for the food. They are bullying each other to get to the food. The weaker ones don't even get to any of the offerings. So you imagine that, you know, it's a mob. You're dealing with a mob, right? So please don't insult the mob. You know, so everyone, you know, I mean, you know, learning to see the things the way they might really be is useful, right? So sometimes you walk along and you see like, oh, people burning out. It's sort of peaceful community, like, oh, this is Singapore enjoying its cultural diversity. That's not the point, right? Underneath that, there is a lot of hunger and viciousness and desperation, right? So that's the bit that you should thank your lucky stars you cannot see. Right, but please don't pretend it's not there. So that's why all these pantang are in place, because there really is danger. Right, there is danger, right? Not because they are evil, but because they are so freaking desperate, and we shouldn't get in their way, lah. Right? For this month, let's just be the peaceful, quiet ones. Let's be, you know, just sit in the corner, stand in the corner of the lift, say sorry. All right, let them.
It's easier to ignore, walk away. 2 seconds later, you're away from the mess. It's not your business.
Yeah, you know. So if it smells, if it's you know, blocking your path and all that kind of thing, just let it go. And if accidentally you step on them, because sometimes it is hard to avoid, please apologize. Right? Please do apologize. If you really kick them accidentally, you know, your bicycle runs into them, whatever, it doesn't cost a lot. Bring back another offering, you know, and you know, just show that you're willing and that you are empathetic to what they are going through, right? I think then maybe you get out of the ghetto. You know? Wow. Okay. Very good. Learning opportunities, huh?
Now, before we go to the final confession, John, I want to share with you one confession that's not been written out yet, because this was fresh. I went to get a haircut today from my barber, Yen. He operates out of Peninsula Plaza basement. So I usually go and find him. And he's a fan of the show. So sometimes I will go to his barber and I will see Supernatural Confessions playing. on his
nice.
TV. Very nice guy, big fan of ours. And he shared a story with me today.
You know why he has to play it or not? Because then all the customer, right, they listen to our episode, then their hair stand up. Easier, much easier to cut.
Don't need to comb, so difficult. It's like,
Correct. Okay, come. Tell me, what's his confession?
okay. He lives in Tampines. Okay. I'm not going to name the particular block, but it's behind a Shell station. Okay. And last year, 7 months, somebody committed suicide. He didn't see the man jumping down, but he saw the body on the ground. His neighbor saw the man jumping down. And he spoke to that neighbor just moments before the suicide happened.
Okay.
Right? He didn't know the full story about it, but from what he heard and what he saw, this man's son stomped out of the house. And the family is actually quite well to do. So they live in somewhere, quite far from the father, the old man lah. And I think something must have been said to the old man that caused him so much grief that within the next half hour, he just... Okay? So 7 months, right? That's not all. This is talking about the direct next door neighbor. And for the next 7 days, when he was in his room sleeping, he can hear the way his neighbor would walk back home. Not the you live if you live along the corridor, you roughly know which neighbor after a while because of their walking style, their shoe and everything. The sound was there, and he did not look out the window because he's scared shitless. He sort of closed everything, but from the lowest you can actually see a bit transparent, right?
Yeah.
The silhouette of the man will walk by.
Oh.
Okay. When he walks out the house, and he just because he's just living next door, he walked past the house. There's this sense of depression and sadness coming from the unit. Yeah, but that was about all the haunting he had experienced lah. But 7 days later,
Wow.
everything went back to normal. No Karas feeling, no energy, just gone. But for 7 days it lingered.
Wow. That's quite chilling, actually. Quite chilling. Simple but chilling. Yeah.
So the question I always wondered, right, is when you die during 7 months, and when you take your life during 7 months, what happens to your soul? Is it different from normal time?
I don't know whether, let's say, the processing would be slowed down because there's a lot of immigration issues. So maybe your case is like on hold. Like, can you wait until after 7 months, please? And then you're put in this waiting room. I don't know. I mean, it's quite possible that it's so organized that the incoming, outgoing are separate, and the two departments are very, very organized.
So I would agree with you because that's why I asked this question as well. He says no, 7 days later the spirit is gone. So if it was 30 days of sensation, maybe lah.
Yeah, so no delay. No delay. So that means not bad. Immigration was quite smooth. I think that I love the fact that there's this bureaucratic sense of the underworld. It's so organized. It helps us make sense of it, right? It's nice to know that the civil service attitude continues after death. Excellence. But okay, so what I want to ask in relation to this is, if you were your friend, right, and you lived in that house, and for 7 days you've heard the shuffling and saw the shadow, what would you do?
I would give offering. For me, straight out, no questions asked. I'll give offering. If I can, I invite a Sifu down, maybe do additional ritual. Because I don't have the details for this, neither does my friend, but if it doesn't sound like he had a good send-off, there was a bit of fallout with the family. I would do that for him. Why not? No skin off my back.
Would you also be camping in the corridor with all your devices?
No lah, I think to be respectful, I would do that without getting caught lah, or putting it on social media lah. But I may still do it, but not post it. So it's a big game.
Because it is a rare opportunity.
Right? So I'll wait.
Right?
Like 12 o'clock, I'll just wait for the
Or just put all your devices outside, turn on, then you stay inside.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. No, that's a good story. Thanks for sharing that. Wow. Okay. Okay.
because it's going to be a nice segue to the next story.
Mm.
Context
Okay.
wise, for the next story, it also involves someone unaliving himself.
Mhm.
Okay. This one is a bit longer than all the stories that we have today.
Mm.
So just bear with us because it's a nice, complete narrative to this, John, and I think you will enjoy this one very much. All right.
Okay.
Confession by Casey. Over to you, John.
My god brother took his life in 2005 during the Hungry Ghost Festival. He was living in a rented unit in Bukit Panjang with his then girlfriend. Apparently, he had caught her cheating with her colleague from work. He confronted her when she got home, and they got into a huge, heated argument that involved a lot of unnecessary, demanding things being said. His girlfriend grabbed some of her things and left the house that night. Heartbroken, he decided to take his own life 2 days later. I only got wind of his passing a couple of days after his death. His girlfriend had returned home one afternoon thinking that he would be away at work to pick up the rest of her things. The bedroom door wasn't locked, but she couldn't seem to open it fully. It felt like something was obstructing it from inside. She used her body weight to hold it open and took a peek inside and found my god brother hanging from the SAF toggle rope tied to the top of the door frame. The aircon was on, so that probably slowed down the body decomposition rate. I was the first one she called. From the hysterical blabbering over the phone, I was still hopeful that he was still alive. The realization settled in only when I saw his body. The girlfriend was, of course, distraught, blaming herself for his death. I called the police and handled the other administrative matters. What I had not told the police or the girlfriend was that my godbrother had been texting me the few days leading from that fallout/breakup. He was incoherent, drunk, angry, and he texted stuff full of nonsensical messages about seeking revenge. It wasn't the first time that he had sent me such rage filled texts. He did it whenever they had an argument, so I didn't think that this time was any different. I replied that I would catch up with him over the weekend and we could go for drinks. Now, on hindsight, the dates that I received the message and his supposed time of death didn't match up because I was still receiving messages from him up to the last 24 hours before his girlfriend called me. But according to the medical examiner's report, he had hung himself 3 days prior. And the other weird part of the message that didn't make sense to me was the line, I will come back to seek revenge. The funeral was a single day affair, a closed casket, visited by 5 of his close friends who were the closest thing he has to a family. His parents divorced when he was young and he had been estranged from his mother during his teenage years, and they never mended ties since. After the funeral, I didn't hear from the girlfriend for an entire year. The following year, she called me around the time of my godbrother's death anniversary and said that she's very scared, claiming that he had been appearing to her for 1 week straight. Not even in her dreams. She would actually see him outside her house, at her workplace, anywhere she went. He would always be standing within her line of sight, just standing there, staring at her. When she approached him, he would just vanish into thin air. I told her it was probably just her guilty conscience at work. My godbrother had already moved on and went to a better place. I tried to comfort her as best as I could, but she went ballistic and said I wasn't listening to her. He's coming back to take revenge, she was screaming. That got my attention. What do you mean? I asked her. I hadn't told her or anyone about the text that he had sent me a year prior. So for her to talk about revenge in that same manner of that text made me curious. I tried to dig for more information. She said that she had been receiving an SMS from an unknown number and that the message said he's coming back to take revenge. I don't have further details to elaborate or tell you about this because I myself couldn't get anything coherent out of her at that time. I told her to hang in there and that I would pick her up from work the next day and we would go and give offerings to him and placate his spirit if what she said was true. I waited at the office building car park the next day, but she didn't show up. I left her a few text messages, but there was no reply either. When I called her up, someone picked up the phone and introduced himself as the investigating officer. Apparently, my godbrother's girlfriend had committed suicide by jumping out of a kitchen window the night before. The new boyfriend, who was the colleague from work that she had cheated with, had apparently gotten into an accident and died on the spot that same evening as well. Coincidence? Every year when the 7th month comes around, it triggers my memories of these tragic incidents and how bizarre it had been. It's not something I can qualify as supernatural or not, so you can do as you wish with this story. I'm just glad Supernatural Confessions gave me the chance to get this off my chest. Wow, this one drama. Oh dear, wow. Okay. I don't know where to. I don't know where to start. It's such a tangle of emotions. Yeah, it's messy. It's messy. I mean,
he is right. On one hand, coincidence or not, because this is not straight up. This is not straight up. We can pin it and say, supernatural category. The logical mind, the skeptical mind can find so many logical ways to explain this story. But there were some very bizarre, uncanny coincidences. Yeah, too uncanny for it to be just purely logical already. That's how I feel.
I mean, the fact that the girlfriend and the colleague, right, died on the same evening is already a tremendous coincidence, right? 7th month again, right? 1 year later, right? Was it the same day? They mentioned that it was the anniversary, but did the deaths happen on the day of the anniversary as well?
Wasn't very clear in that narration, but it says when she started calling him was close to the anniversary. So perhaps.
So if it was, then that would be an amazing, not amazing lah, but a remarkable coincidence, right? Yeah. Wow. I mean, definitely his sort of thinking and what he explained to the girlfriend, right, also makes sense, which is that there's so much guilt, right? She immediately felt guilty, right? And she wasn't even denying it. She really felt guilty, right? So it's clearly possible that this whole year has been quite traumatizing for her, right? And then as you come close to the death anniversary, all that comes churning up again, right?
Yeah.
And sends you a little bit sort of, sends your imagination going a bit wild, right? So it's not unlikely that she would have felt or seen or recalled, and you can't really tell the difference between your mind, the memories haunting you versus the actual haunting, right? You really can't tell sometimes, right? When you're in a mess. So without the coincidences, I would say quite possibly, it's just her going through, what she has to go through.
And then she cannot take the guilt, then she killed herself, right? So that part all logical.
Yeah, and it's quite possible that then if that's logical, then the other half, with the colleague was truly a coincidence law. I don't know, right? I don't know. Or it could also be possible that the colleague also felt a bit of that guilt because they are colleagues after all. So how much of her guilt every day at work spilled over onto him to the extent that on nearing the death anniversary, he too was being reckless and maybe drunk, maybe whatever, and acting in a way that perhaps was not entirely safe for himself, right? And opened the door to an accident, right? So, but then again, that's where the crossover begins lah, right? And whether in that state they were easier than to be messed with, right, by a spirit looking for revenge. Because they were basically asking to be punished almost, in a way. Wow.
But the other part of it, which is harder to explain, is that medical examiner has stated he died 3 days prior, but the messages still keep coming until the last 24 hours. So there is at least 1 to 2 full days of after he hung himself that the messages were still going through.
Angry messages. Yeah.
Okay. If you want to really be skeptical, it can be, there was a server issue and then the messages came belatedly because this is SMS. This is 2005. It's not WhatsApp.
2005, yeah.
Right? So you can still try to squeeze that in, right? But the fact that he says he wanted revenge in the same way that he had texted the godbrother, and she also said that's what she felt.
But the creepier set of messages is the set of messages that the girlfriend was receiving 1 year later. That's even creepier, right? So if you say like 1 day, 2 day, okay, maybe it's
Server lag.
yeah, right. It's the system. But 1 year later, is it some new feature where they this time last year and then they send you messages from last year? Oh dear, what an unlucky feature.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's really quite creepy, Wow, I don't know, man.
Okay,
I mean,
so I mean, hearing all this story, ladies and gentlemen, I'm leaning really towards the. I believe there's a supernatural involved, but I'm trying to wear my skeptical hat because I want to remove all the possibilities here. On one hand, right, and this just work with me here, right. On one hand, the unknown message, could it be wearing a skeptical hat? Is actually the godbrother using another SIM card, sending her a message to fuck with her.
In other words, right.
If you're going with a very logical, non-supernatural route, true crime episode, the godbrother is trying to.
If this was a crime thriller, eventually it could totally be that the godbrother was taking revenge on behalf. Right? Yeah, and making it seem like it was coming from.
So she's already guilty. Then all you need is just a little bit of a trigger, push her off the that side of the fence. Right?
Yeah.
It could be, right? But that's, as I said, going to the true crime side, and that's assuming Casey is part of that. Okay, so I'm saying this because I know people will be thinking about this, so I'm articulating what you guys are saying. Now I'm interested to know the origin of this haunting and what causes this spirit to be so angry that it would come back and take revenge of this nature, claim 2 lives, send messages through the devices and all. It must have been a very powerful, vengeful spirit. And if if you look at his entire life, his background, who he is, what he is, how he's growing up, he's almost like constantly abandoned, alone, and that he must have a lot of rage and bitterness in him. And then when the girlfriend left him, is yet another nail on the coffin of nobody wants me. I get that sense, reading about who he is.
I mean, okay, he himself, Casey, has said that, it was not the first time that he received this kind of messages. So this is a godbrother who does not deal with relationship matters well, right? Who speaks out of rage very quickly, right? Feels betrayal very strongly, right? So, even when those were incidents that eventually patched up. But still, right, there were moments. So this was yet another moment. That's why he did not treat this moment as unusually severe, right? He just said, "I'll catch up with you. We'll go for drinks, and it'll be like last year. It'll be the year before, right? It'll be the same, right? So clearly, he does have a pattern of, I think, obsessive behavior, maybe very possessive, right? But I mean, being sort of Asian and sort of knowing the supernatural world here, right? Most cultures do believe that it is an obsession that keeps the spirit trapped, right? Whether you are obsessed with a thing, like whether you're obsessed with money or gambling or sex, for the Chinese, that immediately makes you a certain kind of ghost, right? The 色鬼, and the 酒鬼, and you come back because you refuse to let go of these
attached to the
obsessions.
earthly matters, and then
you come back, still want to play mahjong, that kind of thing, right? Yeah, and those are the sort of habitual sort of addictions, right? Addictions, right? But then there are other obsessions, right? Which are emotional obsessions, right? And if you're obsessed with either a person or what the person represents, right? In this case, whether it's the girlfriend herself or whether it's having a girlfriend, in his life, right? Either way, that obsession would have been enough to make it a tie that death cannot break, he thought he could end it, but no, he couldn't.
Yeah.
And on the other side, his ghost was like, still freaking furious, and now with more power, right? And that it becomes very tempting, you know. So that's the thing. Is it a question of them coming back intending to do this, or them lingering and realizing I can do this? My my helplessness as a human being has been traded in for something else, right? I have power, right? It's the moment where you discover your superpowers and choose to be a villain, right?
Yes. This
Right?
is the
So
turning to his villainy already.
yeah, and the power becomes dark, right? So it's not unusual, I think, to hear stories of I think human obsessions, right, leading immediately to a haunting, right? And then it usually is a short-lived haunting. It's a haunting that basically will wind itself up lah. When the obsession sorts itself out. I don't think he will linger beyond his revenge being successfully taken, right?
It reminds me of another confession that I've heard some time ago. In a moment like this, when she packed and she left, in that 24 hours, he's sitting there, seething, betrayal, full of rage, in the 7-month time. It may not be too far-fetched to imagine that there could be an entity who sends an opportunity, comes down, makes a pact. You want to take revenge? I can help you. In return, you give me your life. And because he's angry, right? So, in a fit of rage, you make all this sort of, yes, I would trade anything. Trade my life. Take it lah. It's pointless now, right? It's one of those.
Yeah.
He killed himself. And what was the entity that carried on for him is not his spirit. It's the more dominant entity, which is why they can send SMS. It can appear to you. So we're not dealing with your dead human spirit. It's another level. So it could be that entity comes down, see an opportunity, trade. I will perform this on your behalf.
So you're saying there's like a revenge by proxy, right? In exchange for your soul, I will do your dirty work. Possible. Entirely. I mean, it's 7th month, so right? There's a lot of people around shopping for opportunities. It's entirely possible. I mean, and who knows whether I think both scenarios exist lah, right? There are some spirits which come back and find themselves stronger, right? And are able to manifest their rage.
The equivalent of dying in red lah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, exactly, right? If you can force it to happen by just changing her outfit, you can certainly, it can certainly happen in natural ways as well. But there's also the possibility that there are spirits who are looking for this kind of opportunity to increase the suicide death rate, in exchange for a little favor, right? And weave a bit more havoc and chaos going around, right? There are definitely entities that are looking out for that.
Yeah.
So whether he made a deal, could totally be. Maybe he made a deal with his phone service provider and
Hantu Starhub.
yeah, exactly. I will keep sending the messages for you.
But you put yourself now the human side of the story. The girlfriend, you come home thinking, okay, he's out. I just going to go to the room and quickly grab my things, right? And then you find the door. It's not locked because it can budge.
Yeah.
But then you feel like something behind it. And then you push open and you look behind and you see him there hanging. Wow. That is quite fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the possibility that, I mean, not say the possibility, but the thinking that for there's no sort of normal scenario here, but for a sort of textbook sort of person who is intending to commit suicide in that kind of situation, they would probably, right, in more cases than not, want to be discovered by the person who caused them hurt, right? And that too is the revenge, right? So the fact that he hung himself by a toggle rope in the room instead of going out of the house to somewhere where she might not connect it, right? He could have done, he could have, jumped or something somewhere else, right? But no, it was in the room which A, they shared, and B, she will come back to because her belongings are still here. Right.
You will see me.
Correct. So to me, there's already the hint, the possibility that he was vengeful, and planning it, right? And so that very well supports the fact that he would that vengefulness would then multiply lah, in the afterlife as a spirit, right? Where suddenly there are far less things restraining you, right? And you're just like, you're just like, it's like inside out, right? It's just all emotion, right? So there is, I mean, it is the thinking that once you sort of leave this body, the things that drive you, the emotions that drive you, are kind of more elemental and more powerful, right? Like just take, for example, the simple trope of the Ju-on, the grudge, right? How just a grudge, can grow into this whole other thing, much more than a ghost. Almost demonic power, right? It keeps growing in power, and then it feeds other people, it affects other people just from the act of dying. Right? An angry, bitter woman die, and then it just exponentially, that emotion, right? So if you think that kind of thing can happen, then this story makes sense, lah.
There's also cultures around the world that talks about the death curse, like of all the curses, the curse that's uttered from the lips or the breath of the dying, is something that you cannot escape. It's like
because the idea is it liberates that curse to grow. It's not me having to plan and plot and creep around taking revenge. No, I'm giving my life to set that curse free to fly and grow. And then you go and deal with it already. I'm gone. So I mean, we don't know how the mechanics of these things work, and how much of his essence is still there running it, or whether it's just wearing his skin and taking his shape, and it's actually just the anger itself. The rage itself that needs to play out.
The rage is so strong it became sentient almost.
Correct. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So we don't know the mechanics. We are currently conducting experiments at MSA.
Any angry people,
please come and submit yourself to a study. Yeah. But I mean, we've definitely heard cases of such, all around the world. In films, but also in the stories that inspire the films. So wow.
So today we went from cheeky ghosts to ghosts who whack you because you are offending them to
just all outrage, man. All outrage.
Look at the spectrum of confessions we have today.
Not bad. I mean, I think it just makes me realize that 7 month is a time where a lot of things come to the surface, right? And it's a time to be extra wary, extra careful, extra respectful, but also it's a reminder that it's just the quantity that's different. Any other month still have these things, just a lot less, right? And so you may not come across them as often, right? And the chances of you being affected by these things are slightly lower, right? Not every leaf is haunted, maybe half, but 7 month, all, assume all, right? So yeah, I think please take care, everybody. Follow the four steps, okay?
So ignore,
Ignore,
be polite and firm, tell them to not disturb you.
Yep.
Third one, tell them to fuck off. Fourth one, put down your pants.
Okay, you should be receiving a fridge magnet under your door in a few days.
With a total defense sign, but one extra arrow.
Yeah. Yikes. Okay, quite shock.
So we come to the end of today's show. I don't know what are we having for next week. Are you coming next week for Friday Night Live? Do you have time? Or we didn't recording again?
No, cannot. Have to record again.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Will it be part 2 of 7 months? Who knows?
We got some more.
Oh, I must do a special shout out. Last week, I was at Burger King late at night, and then 2 people stopped and stared at me strangely, and they were wearing masks. So I was like, oh shit, the time has come, And then they were smiling, laughing, and then finally they revealed that they are longtime fans of SC, right? And they've been watching for a long time, but they've been very silent, so you don't see them in the chat. So they are truly the mysterious fans, right? But now we know who they are: Jeffrey and Sharon.
Oh,
Big shout out. And they said, even if you mention our name, we probably won't comment in the chat. So let's see if we can lure them out of hiding.
Met a guy today who, when I was cutting my hair, he walked in, he saw my reflection in the mirror. He's like, "Oh my god, what are the chances? I was just listening to Supernatural Confessions at work." He should also never comment. All the silent people are out there.
It's nice to know. It's nice to know.
Thank you for coming up to us. We would love to
Yeah,
see you.
so cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say goodnight. And I think today's tip that I have for you guys is don't wear it during 7 months.
Oh, do I have to give a tip as well? Let me see. Wow, hard to say leh.
that's
Okay lah. Whatever you do during 7 months, the best thing to do is do it all year round.
Well, I know someone who cannot give you a tip. Doesn't Apple Pie's friend? He has no more pinky tip to give you guys. See you guys.
Terrible.
Good night, everybody. Bye bye.
Good night. Bye.
What did you find?
You are listening to Supernatural Confessions.